statistician? Well, boy, is there an offer out there for you from one Douglas J. Keenan, and that's a chance to win $100,000 and to have your name added to the annals of climate science history as a hero who helped the IPCC to smooth over an embarrassing little problem that they have. What am I talking about? Well, of course, the IPCC is the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change, and if you go to their homepage at ipcc.ch/report/AR5/WG1, link in the show notes, of course, you can find the first working group of their 2013 Fifth Assessment Report, i.e. the physical science basis. This is the consensus, the summation of the cutting edge of climate science as it is understood today, or a couple years ago anyway. Chapter 2 specifically is Observations, Atmosphere, and Surface, and I want you to go and download that because we're going to take a look at that in a second. But before we do so, in order to understand what it is we're going to take a look at, I would suggest that you take a look at Statistical Analyses of Surface Temperatures in the IPCC Fifth Assessment Report by Douglas J. Keenan on his website, informath.org. Link again in the show notes, which notes that in September 2013, the IPCC issued the first volume of its Fifth Assessment Report. The volume includes extensive discussions of observations of the average temperature on Earth's surface. The discussions include some statistical analyses of these observations. This critique considers the merits of such statistical analyses. No background in statistics is required. And I suggest you go and read through this report because it is very true. No background in statistics is required. It starts off very basic with how to do a basic statistical analysis of something like tossing a coin, and how can you plot that data, and then how can you look for significant trends in the data, which all seems very basic and simple until you get to the concept of time series, which you can also read about here. And long and short, a fundamental difficulty in statistical analysis is the choice of an appropriate model. This is particularly pronounced in time series analysis, like, well, obviously, climate data. So here's an example of some line graphs showing some time series that have been plotted out, and the question is, just eyeballing it here without knowing the underlying what this data really represents, do you think you can see any significant trends in the data? And tricks on you, actually all 9 of these were generated completely randomly. But here's one that was not generated randomly. This is the global surface temperature outlook from 1880 to 2012, offset from the 1961 to 1990 mean, data from HADCRET 4.2.0.0. i.e. this is the global temperature rise that we've seen in the modern era that is the undeniable human fingerprint on climate that is sending the world into a tailspin. Or so the IPCC wants you to believe. And specifically, one of the analyses that they do to try to prove that is in their trend analysis, their statistical analysis, which they talk about in box 2.2 of chapter 2, that chapter that I told you to download earlier. So let's take a look. I've downloaded it here. So this is Quantifying Changes in the Mean, Trend Models and Estimation, which says many statistical methods exist for estimating trends in environmental time series. The assessment of long-term changes in historical climate data requires trend models that are transparent and robust, and that can provide credible uncertainty estimates. And in the section on linear trends, it says, the quantification and visualization of temporal changes are assessed in this chapter using a linear trend model that allows for first-order autocorrelation in the residuals. Trend slopes in such a model are the same as ordinary least squares trends. Uncertainties are computed using an approximate method. The 90% confidence interval quoted is solely that arising from sampling uncertainty in estimating the trend. Structural uncertainties, to the extent sampled, are apparent from the range of estimates from different datasets. Parametric and other remaining uncertainties, for which estimates are provided with some datasets, are not included in the trend estimate shown here, so that the same methods can be applied to all datasets considered. And under nonlinear trends, it says, there is no a priori physical reason why the long-term trend in climate variables should be linear in time. Climatic time series often have trends for which a straight line is not a good approximation. The residuals from a linear fit in time often do not follow a simple autoregressive or moving average process, and linear trend estimates can easily change when recalculated for shorter or longer time periods, or when new data are added. When linear trends for 2 parts of a longer time series are calculated separately, the trends calculated for 2 shorter periods may be very different, even in sign, from the trend in the full period, if the time series exhibits significant nonlinear behavior in time. All right, if you didn't understand what all of that meant, you're probably not going to win this contest, but let's just break it down as Douglas Keenan does in this paper, where he goes through and summarizes the different paragraphs in that box, and then summarizes box 2.2 as follows. A statistical model was chosen without any statistical justification. Moreover, the chosen model is believed to be statistically inappropriate for climatic data. The model was chosen anyway for two reasons. First, choosing a more appropriate model would require more effort. Second, almost everyone else has been using the same model, though also without statistical justification. Oops, so the IPCC caught with its pants down here with its statistical analyses. But perhaps you think, oh, well, who's this Douglas Keenan? What does he know? Well, if you want, there's on his Informath page, there's the link with his bio and his different peer-reviewed publications. But more to the point, here's the contest, what we've all been waiting for, I'm sure. A chance to win $100,000 by proving him wrong and proving the IPCC right in saying that their statistical analysis is valid. Again, on informath.org, there's a link to this contest. Again, the link will be in the show notes, so you can go and look at it for yourself if you want to enter the contest. But here is the nutshell of what this contest is about. It has often been claimed that alarm about global warming is supported by observational evidence. I've argued that there is no observational evidence for global warming alarm. Rather, all claims of such evidence rely on invalid statistical analyses. Some people, though, have asserted that the statistical analyses are valid. Those people assert, in particular, that they can determine via statistical analysis whether global temperatures have been increasing more than would be reasonably expected by random natural variation. Those people do not present any counter to my argument, but they make their assertions anyway. In response to that, I, i.e. Douglas Keenan, am sponsoring a contest. The prize is $100,000. In essence, the prize will be awarded to anyone who can demonstrate via statistical analysis that the increase in global temperatures is probably not due to random natural variation. So, specifically, what do you have to do? Well, here's this file. The file series1000.txt contains 1,000 time series. Each series has a length of 135, the same as that of the most commonly studied series of global temperatures, which spans from 1880 to 2014. The 1000 series were generated as follows. First, 1000 random series were obtained via a trendless statistical model fit for global temperatures. Then, some randomly selected series had a trend added to them. Some trends were positive, the others were negative. Each individual trend was 1 degree Celsius per century in magnitude, which is greater than the trend claimed for global temperatures. And if you remember back to my Lies, Damned Lies, and Global Warming Statistics video the other day, the claimed trend in global average temperatures over the last 135 years is 0.8 degrees. So this is actually a more pronounced trend than the one that they claim to be able to detect. A prize of $100,000 will be awarded to the first person who correctly identifies at least 900 series. Which series were generated by a trendless process, and which were generated by a trending process. Contrast entries should be emailed to me. Here's the email address. Each entry should be in a text file. Each text file should compose exactly 1,000 characters, corresponding to the 1000 series. A character 0 is to indicate a trendless process, a character 1 is to indicate a trending process, and each entry must be accompanied by a payment of $10. This is being done to inhibit non-serious entries. There's a bunch of other things about the contest here. It closes at the 30th of November 2016, or when someone submits a prize-winning answer, whichever comes first. And when the contest closes, the 1000 series, the program that generated the 1000 series will be posted here, as well as answers1000.txt, which has the answers, which are trending, which are trendless. It's an encrypted file at the moment, so the encryption key and the method will be posted here when the contest closes. So there it is, pretty simple. Correctly identify at least 900 of these 1000 series, which are trending, which are trendless. And so you can go and download this TXT file, and here's the data. Have at it, folks. $100,000 and climate science history will be made, and you will go down as a hero of the IPCC, showing that their statistical analysis is indeed valid. Well, there it is. Again, all the links to this information